For more insights on the global IPO market, let's bring in Max Wolff. He's the Chief Economist at the Phoenix Group. Max joins us from New York City. Hello, Max. Great to have you on Money Talks once again, and thanks for joining us on a holiday as well. Firstly, what is driving this growth in IPOs around the world?
So great to be here. IPOs are always a great market sentiment. No good banker, no good strategist, no good CFO wants to jump into the water unless it looks like it's ideal conditions, just the right temperature, just the right clarity, just the right depth. And so basically what we had across 2017 that cascaded at least into the beginning here of 2018 was an unusual global market condition, improving macro conditions, great market returns. We had all kinds of people around the world experiencing really good equity returns. Here in the US, lots of people kind of thought it was Donald Trump, but if it was Donald Trump, then he was very generous to the whole world and wanted people of all colors, creeds, and backgrounds to have speculative returns. And so it was a great year all around.
So are those Goldilocks conditions going to persist into 2018? And is that good news for the IPO pipeline?
So it would have been if they had. The beginning of this year is very good. So we're going to have a good first quarter net probably when we look back at January, February, March, because we really wasn't until deep in February when the trouble started. But when it started, it got started with kind of a big bang. So particularly in the tech space, globally, we've seen a bit of a sell-off, heavy sell-off here in the US. And what we've begun to see is a lot of fears about the global trade situation and some rising worries about political tensions, not exclusively, but particularly between the United States and China. Got a lot of attention and punched a little bit of the wind out of the sails. And so I think we're going to see a little less IPO activity than we would have seen otherwise.
Finally, Max, I mean, you mentioned that a lot of the IPOs that we've seen are in the tech space. In terms of performance, how have they done versus perhaps IPOs that are not technology oriented?
So for a long time, there was a massive appetite for tech IPOs, and they were super strong performers. We just saw Dropbox come out here in the US, a very large IPO, largest since we saw Snap do something similar, or Snapchat, formerly known as Snapchat. So we've seen really good numbers in the initial trade. The bigger question here is 181 days after you go public, there's something called the lockup expiry, and the folks who owned the shares going into your IPO get the legal right for the first time to sell those shares. An awful lot of tech companies have had a hard time defending their prices when you get 181 plus days out. Certainly hope that's not the case with Dropbox, but we've seen Snap and even some other kind of high-flying names run into that trouble. And obviously the issues around privacy and business model swirling around Facebook and the press haven't been great for tech. But we think globally another big year for IPOs, possibly because we know that the Saudi Aramco deal is coming.
Right, that's going to be the really big one. But in the meantime, and I'm glad you mentioned about lockup periods, because one company that's not going to have a lockup period is Spotify. That's due to happen very soon. Are investors going to be looking at the performance of Spotify minus the underwriters who traditionally would prop up an IPO immediately after the listing as something of a canary in the coal mine here?
So absolutely. If Spotify, which is a very interesting company, has had a lot of trouble becoming profitable, but has won the hearts of an awful lot of people and the ears of a lot of people and the attention of the world, just as an offering, as a basic service for streaming music, where it's been a bit of a pioneer in making sure that streaming music is social. But there are some concerns. You're competing with Amazon, you're competing with Google, you're competing with Apple. That's a tough corner of the world to have to contend with. And we're not going to have IPOs getting support from banks. I still think Spotify is important. It'll be exciting to watch.
It sure will. Max Wolff, Chief Economist at the Phoenix Group. Thank you very much indeed.